Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Yamil, and today I'm here to help you solve another leak code. It's going to be another easy problem today, and as the theme as it has been with a couple of the recent leak codes, we're going to be doing another XOR operator question today. And if you are unfamiliar with the XOR operator, it basically works with the binary in JavaScript to allow us to compare and to build basically well, for this case, an array from a binary representation. All right, so let's start by reading the question, and then we'll see what's being asked of us, and we'll solve the problem as we go through. So we have to decode our XORed array. Okay, so what that means is that we are given there is a hidden integer array represented by the variable r that consists of n non-negative integers. Okay. It was encoded into another integer array, encoded, of length n minus 1, such that encoded I is equal to ri XOR ri plus 1. So this is a little bit confusing, but I'll go into it in a moment. So for example, if r is equal to 1, 0, 2, and 1, then encoded is 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So, and you're given the encoded array, and basically what we need to do is and we are given the first integer, and then we need to reverse engineer the actual array. Okay, so the original array r, return the original array r. It can be proved that the answer exists and is unique. Okay, so that's important. So that means we always know that there was going to be an answer. All right, so I've read a lot, and I've said a lot of like variables and large words and stuff. So let's try and understand what's happening. Okay, so if we go through our example 1, we'll see here in our function that we are passed 2 arguments. We have encoded and first. Okay, encoded and first, and encoded is 1, 2, and 3, and first is 1. All right, so encoded is the array representing our output. It's encoded. It is basically like this is what we have to reverse engineer, and 1 is always going to be the first value of the answer that we're looking for. Well, I mean, like whatever is passed as first will be the first value in the answer array that we are looking for. So if we're taking a look at example number 2, first is equal to 4, and if we look at the return answer, the first element is the number 4. So with that in mind, how do we go about solving this question, right? Well, first, it's best for us to try and understand at a high level what is being passed in, right? Like and this is important. Like you'll see that I do this step every video. And it's important because if you're taking this into an interview situation, communicating your ideas is important for your interviewer to understand the ideas happening in your head. And if you get stuck, typically when you are sharing the information, interviewers will be more inclined to help you out when you're communicative. A big thing in interviews is that if you are not communicative, interviewers don't help you out, and a lot of interviewers are instructed to help you out if you ask for help. So by sharing what you know, what's being passed, what you're supposed to return, an interviewer will be able to help answer questions to fill in the gaps in your knowledge if you ever come across those. All right, so we will be passed 2 arrays, right? Passed 2 arguments, right? The first argument is an encoded array. Okay, the second argument is the first index. First is the value representing the first index in the answer array. Okay, our encoded array will only contain numbers. Okay, so we don't have to worry about any special characters or alphabet characters, and there will always be a unique answer. Always be a valid unique answer. Okay, and this is also an important step because otherwise, like, we would have to take that into account, which steps up the difficulty a little bit. So what are we returning? We need to return the array, right? The decoded array, essentially. The decoded array is basically, it is an array of numbers. Okay, perfect. So let's start tackling this question. Usually what I would do here is I would start building out some test cases, but since we have examples for us given to us by LeetCode, I won't be doing that step. Anyways, so I'm going to create a solution array so that it represents the decoded, well, I guess encoded array. So let answer, right, which is going to be, it's going to be an array of numbers, right? And instead of leaving it as an empty array this time, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to assign it the first value, right? As we said before, you know, you're also given the first integer, right? It will be the first element of the array, array 0. So in hard coding first into answer, you are satisfying this sentence right here. Okay? So that's why it is always like important to try and confirm with your interviewer what bits of information are given to you and what bits of information are not. So in the explanation here, we need to start building the rest of our array, right? We need to get to the decoded array. It tells us that, you know, encoded I is equal to array I XOR array I plus 1, right? Which means we need to iterate over like basically we need to create like an iterator so that we build out our array. So let's see, we're going to do for let I, which is a number, equal to 0. I is less than encoded dot length and then I plus plus. Okay. One thing to note, encoded is always one value shorter than the return array. Okay. And so what we will do is answer I is going to be equal to what am I going to do? I need to determine the current number. And so for me to determine the current number, what do I need to do? We need to take the value and then we need to XOR the previous value. 0 XOR 2, or the next value. So 1 XOR 0, right? 0 XOR 2, and then 2 XOR 1. So it's going to be, if we are on the first element, we will be taking the first element and then we will be doing the next element, okay? So it's going to be answer I is equal to oops, what am I saying here? It's going to be encoded I XOR encoded I plus 1. Okay? And what we're going to return? We're going to return answer. But this is not going to work because this, when I is 0, answer is 0, we will be overwriting this 1 here. So I think what I'm going to do is we need to start this at 1. No, oops. Oh. And what we'll do is we'll do answer.push instead of ans I, because the wrong answer. Oh, right. It's answer of I, and then it's encoded I, and that's how it's going to be. Right? Okay, perfect. So why does this work? Sorry, it took me a moment to try and understand what was happening. So why does this work? Okay, so look at this. I'm going to console log answer I and encoded I. Oh. And we don't have to do any... it won't let me do that. So I'll just do answer I and encoded I. But take a look at this. Okay. When we are on our first iteration of the loop, right? Answer 0 represents first. Encoded 0 represents the number 1. Okay, so we are referencing two different arrays, two different variables, in order to basically recreate 1 XOR 0, 0 XOR 2, 2 XOR 1. And the reason why this works is because like we already like pushed first into our answer array. And so when we pushed first into our answer array, when answer 0 was referenced, right, it was first, right? Let's see here. First, answer I, and then encoded I. Right? So first is always 1, 1, 0, 2 for the next answer, which is like the basic, well, we'll do answer here instead of first. That way it will be a little bit clearer. Okay, right? So we have answer, which is the array. It starts on our first iteration. It is 1, right? That is first. Then we have, look at this, answer I, which is at when we're iterating at iterator number 0, answer 0 is the number 1. Okay, and encoded 0 is the number 1 as well, coming from our array that is passed in. Okay, then when we iterate into our next one, right, we've pushed our answer when we are in our first iteration, but when we go to our second iteration, our answer array is now 1 and 0. Answer of 1 is 0, right, which is 0, and then encoded of 1 is the number 2, which is 0 XOR 2, right? And so we'll do answer is 0 XOR 2, and then we'll push that into array, and our array is 1, 0, and 2. And for us to get the full picture of the array, what we can do is just console.log answer here. Well, I mean, we get the answer in this form. We get the answer in the form 1, 0, 2, and 1. Once all of these operations have been done, this loop will iterate 3 times, because basically we have to iterate, where is it? N minus 1 times. So the first array, the answer was length 4, and we iterated 3 times to do it, to basically apply everything that we needed to do over our encoded array. Okay? So with that being said, if we now take our answer and we submit this, you will see that it ends up working out. It passes all of the tests. So I hope you learned something here today. I know this was a little bit of a, like, there was more talking and rambling trying to explain the ideas to you and trying to show how this worked. So if you liked the way that the video was set up, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and take a moment to let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate it. If you thought there were areas for me to better improve on this video, that would also work. Thank you for letting me know that. And yeah, I'll see you next video. My name is Jamil. You have a good evening.